Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever the hell you are. This video is all about appraising Magic the Gathering Power 9. I have a client named Chris who wanted to appraise some Magic the Gathering cards in this envelope. We're going to go through that here right now. Let's jump right into it.
Vintage Magic. Game, collect, invest. For more information about our consulting and professional services, visit vintagemagic.com.
All right, guys, so welcome back. So this video is another video about appraising Magic the Gathering cards. This envelope was given to me express mail from a client. I'm not going to show you his information. I've already ripped it up, but the envelope up, but here's the cards. There you go. It's broken up. Yep. So also sent to me a letter, a nice little letter that I will read to you guys. So let's take a look. And by the way, these are my cards. They're just kind of for, what do you call it? Just variables, kind of evaluating them. Those are my cards. These are his cards in these plastic cases. How are you guys doing? You guys been collecting cards? Selling? What are you guys up to? Comments below. All right, let's look a look. There we go. Hey, Daniel, I was hoping you could help me authenticate a few cards, appraise a few cards for me. I have been in and out of Magic since high school, since 2001. At this time, not many people were into Type 1, as the format was called. I always loved it, however, because of the sheer power of the cards, Is there anything better than drawing 3 cards for 1 blue mana? No, there is not, Chris. That is the best card in the world. I totally agree. Anyway, I had pretty good Power 9 collection, even when I was a teenager. As you could buy a Mox or Accessory Recall for a whopping $100. Holy shit. Holy moly. What year was that? Oh my God. 2001. That's sick. Yeah, back to it. Anyway, during high school, college, I no longer played, and I needed to sell the cards for living expenses. Oh, I've heard that story before. Okay. Now that I'm older, and I have more money, disposable income, though still with inherent recklessness, I decided to repurchase some of the cards, finally, to complete my collection. Nice. Within the past months on eBay, I purchased an Accessory Recall for $6K, a Beta Time Walk for $3K, and Unlimited Sapphire for $2.5K. As one of the Magic Gathering experts of the world, I am one of many. I was hoping you could determine the authenticity, see if I need to reverse these purchases. Even if real, I'm certain that I got robbed with the prices, but I'm not as concerned with that aspect. Thanks, Chris. All right, Chris. So let's get right into it. Wow. Great story, actually. Really tells a lot of kind of what has happened to the generation going on over the years. A lot of people have bought into, had cards and then sold the cards. That's a story that everybody that I've seen who buys cards has experienced. All right. First things first. All right, so now I got some water. First off, let's take a look at these cards and what's going on, if they are real or not. The best thing to do is to compare them with authentic cards, which are over here. They're mine. And I'm also going to do, what the hell? It's like a freaking wolf spider or something on there. What the hell? It's like Rudy. God, Rudy can't get out. Rudy is in like different forms of different creatures. He's just all over the place. For those of you who always troll me and ask, is there something wrong with you and Rudy? No, there's nothing wrong with me and Rudy. I like Rudy. He's a nice guy. And that's it. All right. First thing I want to say is I brought these extra cards to basically swap out his cards. No, I'm just kidding. So what I'm going to do is I'm basically going to check if there's any inking going on. And I'll show you how to do that in a second. First things first, let's look at this Accessory Recall. Caveat here, first thing, guys, the client did want me to look at these cards prior to opening or doing the video, just as an initial thought process. Did he need to file a case? And I've already told him that I think the cards are fine. already. But, you know, that's just something you'll have to determine yourself. All right, so let's look at the good old font. There you go. Look at that HD quality. Look at that quality, guys. Pretty nice card. I don't know, 6K? Looks pretty minty on that side. I don't know what he's talking about, like I took a bath. I mean, it's pretty clean. I mean, that top corner is not good, but it looks pretty good. Yeah, pretty good. What do you guys think? I mean, I'm not really looking at the authenticity at this point. I can just tell it's real, but maybe we'll compare it here in a second. Everything about it is consistent with a beta card. A couple things with accessory recalls is like if it's a collector's edition reback, for example, the left to right area, the left would be a lot thinner for ancestral recalls, and the font would be a lot less of this. What do you call it? You'll notice that there's some white kind of shadowing. Do you see that kind of a white, gray, and black tone? That's with CE cards, and this is very consistent with ancestral recalls. All right, next we got the beta time walk. The beta time walk. Let's take a look at the print. Beta time walk. Beta time walk tends to be more of the darker gray. Doesn't have that whiteness with the shadowing. I noticed that a lot with more of like Wheel of Fortune. And you'll ask me, well, Dan, why is there some variation in this? Yeah, there's a little bit, but overall, it's pretty consistent with beta and alpha and unlimited. So now unlimited, I believe, has a few variations that are a little bit more different. Look at that rosette pattern. I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, let's see if I can. There you go. Look at that. That's pretty consistent. You're probably wondering, well, how do I know that? Well, I've been doing this for so long. The feel, the touch, everything about it, the smell. The left and right doesn't show me any kind of, it's not super thin. Shows me that it's not, initially just a reback type of thing. I do think this card, this one I felt was more potentially inked. There's some like, look at that right there, or colored or something. Look at that right there. Look at that. You see that? Right there. Okay? Right there. Zoom in. So that's kind of like, you could tell there's discoloration. And that, to me, is a sign of inking or some type of, I don't know, some type of touch-up or something going on. And then you can go right here and see if there's any black. And it's hard with this one card, so that's why I'm going to go into it with this type of card in a second. All right, next we have guys, hold on a second real quick, and we're back. So yeah, the problem is the lighting's kind of weird. I want to adjust it. So back in a different position. Let's look at the Unlimited Sapphire. I gotta say, this is a really nice card for $2,500. I don't think this is really that bad of a deal. I don't know. Looks pretty clean to me. I wouldn't call it like, obviously it's not 9.5. There's some dirt right here. But overall, it's centered really nicely. The back is pretty clean, but look, there's a little bit of white flakes right here. Yeah, right there. See that? Right there on the edge. Also on the corner, there's a little bit of wear. That's a pretty normal amount of corner. I mean, if I was to grade this guy, because this appraisal was more for authenticity for Chris, but I can tell they're all real. So I would probably give this an 8.5 because there's 2 metrics, even third metric is a surface. It's not as minty. I'd probably give it like 9 corners, 8.5 or 9 edges, and 8.5 surface. But it probably might even get 9 surface, to be honest. It might even be a 9 card. It might be one of those cards that they've given 9 just because look at the eye peel on that. It looks pretty clean overall. So I don't think 2,600 or whatever the heck he paid was that bad. Anyway, all right. So next, now you probably, well, I've already done the bend test. I've already done the light test and all that stuff. So they all panned out. That's why I can tell you it's fine. Well, one thing I want to show you guys is look at this time walk. I'm a little concerned with the time walk because I think there might be inking involved. And this isn't a way to look at it. So these are all dirty cards. Now, be careful here because now these are some older cards. I should have took some newer cards. Let's see. Okay, so all right. So before I do the time walk, look at this. So this is just okay. Look carefully. That's just a normal Magic stack of cards. Okay. Now I'm gonna put the time walk right in the middle. Okay, guys, watch. It's not a magic trick. It's not Shin Lim here. Okay, guys. And so what I look for is I press it a little closer. There we go. So look carefully. So what I'm looking for here is any potential signs of obvious inking. So I'm going to twist this around. It's right in the middle. So if you can't really tell, it's not. So you could tell that the card has a little bit of. Oh, that's the Erg Raider. So that's a little beat up. Okay, so that's probably giving a bad impression. But I don't know. Can you guys see a little bit of dirt going on? See that black line? See that? Like, that's tough. Every time you buy high-end cards, you should probably look into that. So, yeah, it's a little bit of dirt. Do I think it's inking? I don't know. I mean, I'm not like in love with it, but it could just be dirt. Another way you can look at it is purple light. Yeah, it's not too bad. So my initial thought process was it could be inked. But that's just, again, that's the edge of the card. So, again, this is the original stack and it's really clean overall. But yeah, my feeling about it is that that zoom in effect that we did earlier with the edge right back here, this one I'm really concerned about. If I was grading the card, I would give it altered inked because I don't know, I'm not too in love with it. Right there. I don't like it. I just looking at it, I just feel like it was touched up or there was some residue of inking or something going on. It's not like, the obvious like Sharpie thing, but I can just tell from my experience there's some type of discoloration going on, right? That I don't agree with. So it's kind of like people would argue, say, well, Dan, that could have easily just been like a bend and a flip, but I don't know. It just kind of looks like it's pushed back. And right here on the surface right there, I don't know if you can see it. This is right there. Do you see that right there? See that thing? That's on the surface there. That's not like a scratch that was done. That looks like almost like a discoloration, as in someone tried to touch it up. That's another way you can look at it, because a good corner. Now, see this right here? That's not ink. That's just that may be a little bit of dirt or stuff, but see how it's patched? It's so patchy, right there. Now you probably say, well, that might be a bend, but I don't know. It doesn't look like it to me. And I've put the loop on it, and it looks as if the white itself was white before, and then there's a discoloration. So I would give this an altered inked thing. If I was Chris, I would return this one 100%, because a $3,000 price, and you don't want an ink card. You don't want a potentially ink card. I don't like that. I don't like it. Okay. Next is we're going to go into kind of, it makes me feel they're authentic just by looking at authentic cards by the print. Hold on a second. All right, and we're back. So these are Chris's cards. We're going to go for one by one. And yeah, we're going to go with the Time Walk first. So this is the potentially inked one. Again, I don't like it. I would return it because I just don't think it's a quality. I mean, it's not an example I would invest money in because of the fact that, yeah, I mean, could potentially be inked. All right, so let's go zoom in here in a second at the print. All right, so what we have here is the left is Chris's card. The right is my card. You can tell because it's a little bit more played. And I will just do the good old stacking on the top. That's for you guys. I highly recommend this test for anybody. It's a great test, but here's the problem. Most people don't own these cards, so that's the problem. You don't really have the ability to test them, and so I would go on eBay and just find one of the cards and do it yourself. But yeah, it's kind of hard to do it if you don't own the cards. Let me try to get this mana symbol. This table's a little weird. Oh, here we go. Sorry, guys. All right, so there we go, right there. Do you guys see that? So they're aligned really well. Move it over here. The alignment's really good. There you go. Yeah, so this looks really good. Let's look at the Amy Weber. Make sure the print looks good. Looks great to me. So what I'm looking for is the inconsistencies here in terms of the print. I'm not looking at the dot pattern because it's already been confirmed earlier, but you know, without doing the video. But I'm looking more about if this is a reback potential, right? And obviously, from what I see here, it looks pretty good. So, oops, I'm not going to go even that far. There we go. Yeah, everything about it looks good from the Time Walk. Yeah, too bad about the potential inking. Let's see. Yeah, that looks good. Corners, yeah, look pretty consistent. All right, so let's go on to the Ancestral next. All right, so what we have here next is basically two Ancestral recalls. Mine is a signed one, and this is Chris's from eBay. So I also did a research. I believe the Mox Sapphire and the Ancestral was from a larger eBay seller. So it gives me more confidence to say, obviously, they're real and they're not inked. But that's not a guarantee, everybody, at all. All right, so the marked pools look good. Let's look at the instant. And again, good lighting is important. Notice I got into the sunlight a little bit. You don't want long exposure to this, but I highly recommend it in order to make sure that your cards are real. And this shows, I think, even the dot pattern if you zoom in even further close if you want. But always good lighting is the key every single time. Key thing about mana symbol here is I even think the Ancestral for the CE one is a little bit different. I think the beta one's a little centered. It's more centered, so that's correct. So I'm looking at corners. I'm looking at the surface. I'm looking at shininess. And yeah, obviously my card is centered a little bit differently. You'll notice Ancestral recalls, the top to bottom can be off-centered. That's one characteristic, but the left and right is pretty much the same. This Chris's one is much better centered. Definitely is nicer in terms of centering, but a little bit more play. But overall, it's a nice card. All right, let's take a look at the Mox Sapphire. All right, so the left one again is Chris's. The right one is mine. This one's a really near minty one, actually. So I don't know if you can tell by this, but his has a little bit of yellowing going on. It's very faint, but that's because if you have too much sunlight exposure, too long, it could really just affect the card. Now, I was telling you guys about Unlimited, and this holds very true, is that the print is sometimes a little bit different. And the part that's really different is the gray. So you notice that I believe Chris's is a little bit, has a thicker tone gray, and then mine is a little bit more of a thinner. Here is the mana symbol of them. You notice that both are aligned correctly the same. And the thing with Unlimited, it's a little different though. You can tell the offness, but the idea is the same. There are two variations of Unlimited, in my opinion. Not opinion, but I've seen. And this is actually good that I did this, because look carefully. Look at the mono artifact. Look at carefully here. You notice how Chris's tends to be a little bit thicker, again, consistent with the entire discussion. There are two kinds. And lastly, the Dan Fraser will give it away also very quickly. Look at that. This is on the bottom. Trying to really zoom in there, guys, for you. Look at that. So Chris's is very, very much that gray tone. Oop. What was it there? That gray. Yeah. I'm trying to really, yeah, there you go. See that gray? Yeah. And then mine is more of the thinner version. It's you know, there's two versions of it. And I think it's partly is because when the print run was, when was it? But the idea is the paper, the stock, everything is the same. Mine is also very interesting. Mine has the stupid print line that runs right here. I don't know if you can see it, right? This is mine right here. It has like a line vertical. It's an annoying thing. It's the thing that kills right there. See that right there? There you go. You see that line? Boom, right there. The horizontal line through the Magic the Gathering, the whole thing, right? So that is a common line. It's not super into the card, like pressed in as much, so probably would get a much better surface grade. I'd probably give it still an 8.5 surface, maybe a 9 surface if I was really nice about it, but I'd probably say 8.5. It doesn't deserve the typical pressed in line that's in it. That gets like even as bad as a 7. I mean, I've seen 7s. Chris's card, the question, it has a little bit of a warping effect. So it's almost like someone put their thumb in the middle. I don't know if you guys noticed that. Look at that. It's like on the very top right here. Okay, look at that when I do that, okay? The very top. A little bit of a warp going on. Yeah, so I think, you know, I'm not sure if it's due to handling, but the good thing about his, though it doesn't have much of a line, it does have a small little one right there. Sorry, right there. See that right there? Just the faintest line. But not as bad as mine, by no means. So I wonder if you could kind of pressed out that little warping, kind of bend it towards a different direction like that a little longer. It could probably be okay. But yeah, not a bad card. Very, very clean overall. All right, let's wrap it up here in a second. All right, guys, to wrap this up. So yeah, so back to what I was saying. I think this the Sapphire is like a 8.5 quality card, a nice higher quality 8.5. I don't think they're going to kill the surface that much. There's not much of a bend going on in the back, but overall very clean. The Ancestral, I think it's a pretty nice card. I actually think it could. The problem is the edge. You know, there's a big edge ding right there. I probably would, and it's centered really nicely compared to my card. I'd probably give it more of an 8.5 because of the edge. The edge is pretty serious. Centering is definitely a 9.5. Surface is probably a 9.85. So yeah, I'd probably give it an 8.5 range because of that edge alone. They might deem that an 8, depending on how many other nicks there are, right? Because there's some on the edge right here also. And lastly, we got the good old Time Walk. Yeah, this one turned out to be I would actually, Chris, if I were you, I would return this because of the inking potential on this edge here. See that right here. Okay. So what you have here, see, it's almost like a discoloration. It looks at first, but it's like some inking. So for $3,000 price, I mean, I don't think you're going to lose money long term, but there's other examples you could find, and inked examples definitely, in some people's eyes, are worse in value than even HP, because inked is hard to resell. Some people will not buy inked cards. All right, guys, enjoy. Chris, thanks again for your patience. I hope you guys have a great day. Enjoy your rest of your week. Hope you guys learned something, and we'll talk to you soon. This is how I feel right now. I feel like this. I feel like this. Get me out of this place. I need to travel somewhere. Bye-bye.
Hey everyone, it's Daniel Chang with VintageMagic.com. In this video, I want to run through our consultation service on VintageMagic.com. So what's really exciting to me about the consultation process is meeting you. I've met so many incredible people in the Magic the Gathering industry all over the world, and this consultation process is the key part to a successful working relationship. Getting hold of me is very simple. You could call or email me. We'll talk more about your needs. From all that information I gather in our call, typically about an hour long, I'm going to determine the best solution for you. So because we have such a suite of services that we offer, I'm gonna sit down with a follow-up call, and then we're gonna go off and determine what the best path is. I have experience in handling conversations in regards to large collections of artwork, sets of cards, either if it's graded or ungraded, raw cards. I also have dealt with collections with lots of misprints and oddities. Altered cards, sketch cards, and artist proofs are also one of my specialties. My experience in Magic Gathering has gone to any level of collecting you may have. I look forward to working with you.
Vintage Magic. Game, collect, invest. For more information about our consulting and professional services, visit vintagemagic.com.